Hello, good evening, everyone. But we'll start talking about investment in the next 2-3 days. Now, the first thing that we want to go ahead and we want to talk about is in the case of investment, that is the determinants of business fixed investment. अब इसमें क्या-क्या important है, क्या-क्या हमें पढ़ना चाहिए? So first of all, we need to understand first thing, सबसे important, is that investment, this is basically a flow concept. And when we talk about capital, it is basically a stock concept. So we have to try and understand these two things, that investment is a flow concept and this is a stock concept. Capital is a stock concept. Stock concept का क्या मतलब होता है? Stock means so flow means what? Flow means something which can keep adding up to the stock. Just for example, when we say that there is a river, it is a flowing concept. But when we say that there is a lake in which water is getting accumulated, it's a stock concept. Okay? So capital is stock in nature. Okay? It is the value of all building, all machine, all investment. जो भी building है, जो भी machine है, जो भी investment है, but it is at a point of time. This is at a point of time. Whereas when we talk about investment, okay, investment is something that adds to capital. माने जब भी हमारा capital over period change होगा, suppose if I ask you what is going to be my capital in period t plus 1, you will say last year's capital plus investment minus depreciation. So ये investment, this is going to add up to your capital. So first thing is this, ये एक important concept है जो exam में आ सकता है. The second thing that we have to understand, which can be asked in exam, this is the concept of marginal product of capital. ठीक है? And when we talk about marginal product of capital, we know what it is. Output changes when capital changes. ठीक है? What is the increase or change in output when there is change in capital? That is called as marginal product of capital. Now, there is something which is called as rental cost of capital. रेंटल कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल माने क्या? इट इज द कॉस्ट ऑफ यूजिंग कैपिटल. ठीक है? और हमारे पास एक फॉर्मूला होता है दैट द कॉस्ट ऑफ यूजिंग कैपिटल, रेंटल कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल, कैन बी रिटन एज द इंटरेस्ट रेट. सो आर इज इन रियल टर्म्स, यहां पे रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट लिख देते हैं. और रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट क्या होता है? रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट इज नथिंग बट, सो इफ आई यूज द फिशर्स इक्वेशन, nominal interest rate is real interest rate plus expected inflation. So real interest rate is nominal interest rate minus expected inflation. Okay. So sometimes people can go ahead and can give you the question in terms of nominal interest rate also. Sometimes they can ask you the question in terms of real interest rate also. तो दोनों ही चीजें आपको समझना होगा. In any form, you can go ahead and you can write this formula. ठीक है? So when we talk about the rental cost of capital, the rental cost of capital can be written as R plus D, where R is your real cost of or real interest rate. Usually जब भी हमें investment decision लेना होता है, whenever we have to make any investment decision, we always go ahead and we always talk about the real interest rate. ठीक है? Investment decisions are made on the basis of real interest rate, but of course उसको हम nominal के terms में भी change कर सकते हैं. We can go ahead and we can change it in terms of nominal also. ठीक है? Another thing which you have to go ahead and you have to understand. So what is D beta? First of all, D is depreciation rate. Rental cost of capital को बहुत सारे books they go ahead and they also write it as the opportunity cost of capital. Right? Why opportunity cost? क्योंकि अगर हम दो we have two options, right? Either I can go ahead and I can purchase capital, or I can go ahead and I can lease it. I can buy it on rent. ठीक है? So whenever we go ahead and whenever we take capital, जब हम capital को लेते हैं उसको यूज करने का ये कॉस्ट है, और अगर हम वो कैपिटल को ना लीज आउट करें तो वी आर सेविंग अपॉन दिस कॉस्ट, राइट? सो वेदर द फर्म एक्चुअली गोज अहेड एंड बाइज द ओन कैपिटल और लीजेस इट, रेंटल कॉस्ट ये बता देगा कि फर्म का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कितना रहेगा. सो दिस इज अनदर कॉन्सेप्ट विच इज यूजफुल. अब एक और कॉन्सेप्ट आता है विच इज कॉल्ड एज डिजायर्ड कैपिटल स्टॉक. Desired capital stock is the capital stock that the firm wants to achieve. कितना capital stock एक firm रखना चाहेगा अपने पास, क्या उसका aim रहेगा, that is called as desired capital stock. And this desired capital stock, it is assumed to be a function of two things. One is rental cost of capital and other is the output it wants to produce. ठीक है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट इज वेरी क्लियर कि अगर मेरे को ज्यादा आउटपुट प्रोड्यूस करना है, सो टू प्रोड्यूस मोर आउटपुट आई वुड बी रिक्वायरिंग मोर कैपिटल. सो ऑफ कोर्स इट इज वेरी क्लियर दैट वन, if I want to increase the production of my output, I want to have more capital. ठीक है? Secondly, अगर cost of capital high होगा, if rental cost will be high, I will want to keep less capital, so the amount of capital will decline. ठीक है? Now, someone may ask you कि how do we plot marginal product of capital in how do we go ahead and how do we show marginal product of capital diagram? हम उसको कैसे दिखा सकते हैं in relation to capital stock, which is K. So there are two or three relationships that you have to understand. वो ही MCQs में आ सकते हैं. The first relationship that you have to understand is that अगर हम यहाँ पे capital stock ले लें, right, and we take rental cost of capital here, so this is a diminishing relationship. What does this show? This shows that if there is high rental cost, right, then there will be low desired capital stock. And if there is low rental cost, then it will be high desired capital stock. Right? So this is the first thing that we have to understand कि अगर rental cost high है तो capital stock desired कम होगा, अगर rental cost low है तो capital stock desired high होगा. That is the first thing that we need to understand. The second thing that we need to understand is कि हम इसको marginal product of capital से कैसे link करें. How do we link it to marginal product of capital? So if you remember, when we talk about microeconomics, in that we have read some relationships जिसमें हमने पढ़ा कि value of marginal product of labor is equal to wage rate and value of marginal product of capital is equal to rental rate. You remember this? हमने ये वाला दो relationships पढ़े हुए हैं. This is for perfect competition, है कि नहीं? And we can go ahead and we can write it in a different way also. इस चीज को we have written it like this also कि price into marginal product of labor is W. So marginal product of ने लिखा हुआ है कि price into marginal product of capital is equal to R. So marginal product of capital can be R by P. This is for perfect competition. Or if this is monopoly or any other market, so instead of this, we will have marginal revenue product equal to W, marginal revenue product of capital equal to R. ये relationships हमने पढ़े हुए हैं. We have studied these relationships. In which ये वाला relation बोलता है that MR into MP of labor should be W, and this says MR into MP of capital should be R. So we have studied these relationships. It means that instead of rental cost, R की जगह, I can go ahead and I can plug in value of marginal product of capital. So it means that here on the y-axis, यहाँ पे हमारा जो y-axis है, here I can very well have value of marginal product of capital. So ये जो relationship है, if someone asks you, what is the relationship between value of marginal product of capital and the desired capital stock, you will say inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship. एक inverse relationship exist करता है between VMPK and K star. Right? This is the first thing. Now, another question which can be asked in exam, वो ये हो जाएगा कि how this curve changes as we have, suppose, कुछ भी, they can say that as we have an increase in tax rate या increase in size of the economy, कुछ भी, कुछ exogenous factors they will keep. So suppose I ask you, as there is increase in size of economy. अब बेटा अगर इकोनॉमी का साइज इंक्रीज हो रहा है, इफ द साइज ऑफ द इकोनॉमी इज इंक्रीजिंग, तो इसका क्या मतलब है? दैट वी विल रिक्वायर मोर कैपिटल at any point of time for production. It means that what will happen is that if this is my existing curve, it will shift to the right. This is K, this is VMPK. तो द कर्व विल शिफ्ट टू द राइट. हमारा जो वैल्यू, जो हमारा डिजायर्ड कैपिटल स्टॉक है, वो इंक्रीज हो जाएगा. राइट. सो इफ आई कीप रेंट टू बी कांस्टेंट, सपोज ये मेरा रेंटल कॉस्ट कांस्टेंट है, सो वी विल सी दैट देयर इज एन इंक्रीज इन द डिजायर्ड कैपिटल स्टॉक. Desired capital stock will increase. So whenever ये हमारे marginal product curves हैं, VMPK curves. So whenever there is increase in the size of the economy, we would require more desired capital stock. अब ये चीजें they can ask you in various ways. ठीक है, they can go ahead and ask you कि what will happen when there is increase in taxes. What will happen when there is increase in subsidies given on the capital. ठीक है, and I will show you all those in the MCQ question also. But overall ये एक general हमें समझना होगा that when the size of economy is increasing, the desired capital stock will increase. Generally speaking, desired capital stock और rental cost में एक negative relationship has been seen. Okay, now let us go and do these MCQs. So try the first one. Try to answer this question. That is correct. Taxes will go ahead and taxes will correspond to higher rental cost. है ना? तो that is correct कि अगर tax impose होगा, so if this is my VMPK, this is my rental cost. So when there is tax will increase rental cost of capital, and if rental cost of capital will increase, so desired capital stock will decrease. Correct. ठीक है, all of you are correct. That is the correct answer to this question. So what is a key determinant of business fixed investment? It is going to be interest rate. ठीक है, next question. An increase in real interest rate will lead to. Correct. अगर real interest rate increase होगा, it means cost of capital will increase. So if cost of capital will increase, you will have less capital. So it will lead to decrease in business fixed investment. So investment will decrease. We can also see this through our equation जो हम पढ़ते थे, I is equal to I bar minus BI. So when interest rate increases, investment should decrease. Right? Okay, go on to the next one. Tell me the answer to this one.